So I think first up, let me just offer a very sobering, factual assessment which came through our CEO global CEO survey. Last year, India was number 5 on the wish list of global investors.
Right.
This year also, in spite of all the positivity around India, we are still number 5, which unfortunately was, for me, it was a bit disappointing because, I thought India would do better in the minds of the CEOs globally. And I think 3 things really stem out from that. I think the first and foremost is about dispute resolution and how we look at contracts. I think that's a big one which is coming through. I think Mr. Hiran just mentioned about skilling, and while he's talking about skilling, and we have heard Mr. Goenka and SNS talk about, and he himself is talking about how he's lacking skilled workmen.
Yeah.
Look at the GCCs which are growing so rapidly in India. And, in my multiple conversations with some of the GCC CEOs, they are saying that considering the kind of stuff that Neeraj was just saying, what they want to do for their headquarters, they are now starting to struggle with the skilling element. And I think that's something that we need to focus because, that is India's strength. India's demographic is India's strength. And I think we need to be able to harness it, which means a huge amount of focus on skilling, right? I mean, skilling at the level that Mr. Hiranandani just said, but also add in some of the tech areas which India has been famous for. I think that's something which requires significant effort. And I think we are at a tipping point because it's not as if it's not about the absolute, it's about the relative. It's not as if that many others. I mean, look at what Poland has done in recent times, and we need to be very, very conscious of that. I mean, even Southeast Asia is coming through reasonably well. I mean, they have some challenges, but in terms of English-speaking people and all that. But I think they're coming all really well. I think the other piece really is when you look at the broader manufacturing space. A lot of incentives are causing much of the focus on manufacturing. But I must say that, and we were looking at some of the factor cost, and we were doing some comparisons. I think there is work to be done. I mean, both on the logistics side, if you look at, our manufacturing competitiveness, including smaller countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, they do better on digital competitiveness and others. And I think these are some fault lines that we need to sort. The one issue which, of course, came through earlier, I think on the tax side is one of the big issues which continues to remain. And of course, we're talking about a simplification of the tax code and so on and so forth. So hopefully some of those things will get sorted out. But the one issue which I would also add is this piece about the last mile. And Mr. Bhatia, I completely agree that there has been significant progress and they're very progressive states. But I would also say, with all humility, sir, that there is some work to be done in making sure that what the center proposes, the states dispose. I think there is still some work to be done, sir. Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is, and I think there's a lot of work again that's been done on that. But I think there are some low-hanging fruit out there. That's all I would say. I mean, there is a lot of stuff already out there, but there is some low-hanging fruit, and there is much that we can sort out. And we have been talking about how we include GST on petroleum products and others, etc. Those have been, also things that have been in the discussion, but haven't sort of seen the light of the day. So there is some work to be done on that. For many years, they have almost contributed 60% of the FDI in the country. So, today, in fact, strategic investors, those who are already in India, they're doing really well. They're reinvesting, but getting fresh investors into India, people who, crossing the hump in India with strategic investors is not that easy. But with some of the private equity investors, I think they've been in India. Many of them have actually India offices from Hong Kong and Singapore. They've moved to Mumbai and or Delhi. Yeah. And look at the interest that you have now from pension funds, sovereign wealth funds. I think, as India has matured and Indian businesses have matured, both at the young company level to support entrepreneurship, at the mature end, buyouts, I think private equity has been the one which has actually been holding the fort on the FDI. And, we used to talk about exits being a problem. I mean, look at the last 1.5 years, 2 years. I mean, there's a story to be told there. So they actually have been the one who have been holding the fort there.